Film with family. Film with family. Film with family. They love their family. They love the movies.
Hello and welcome to Film with Family, Extended Family. I'm Zach.
And I'm Austin.
And we're two cousins who love to talk about movies. And today we're starting a brand new series. We call it the Creature Double Feature.
And we double dog dare ya.
To listen to it.
Don't be afraidy, cat.
Don't be a dumb dog. But yeah, today we're going to start it off with some classic animal films. Homeward Bound and The Adventures of Milo and Otis.
Homeward Bound, The Incredible Adventure, or The Incredible Journey.
Journey. I knew I was missing a colon there.
Yeah, respect the colon. We talked about this, Zach.
I don't want to get colon cancer.
Oh, no.
Cut it.
We just lost your colon crowd. The colon demographic is gone.
That was most of our demographic on the Patreon.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about 2 animal movies a month on the Patreon, giving you a 2-for-1 deal. So really, you're only paying like 99 cents on the Patreon per movie.
That's how I like to think about it. And to join us for this introduction into the new series is my own brother, Caleb Zweifler.
Hey, hey,
he's
it's
back.
Film with Family, with the animals in the family.
And animals can be family, as I've already found out watching these films. And
Didn't know that before watching these films.
I didn't know that animals could be in your family, but apparently they can
I always
be.
thought they were second-class citizens of the family.
Yeah,
well, Austin, even you haven't really had your own pet in your adult life.
I have not. No, I don't own any animals. I don't have a cat. I don't have a dog. But I've had some great pets throughout my life. My oldest pet, going back to when I was a kid, Isaac. Y'all remember?
Yeah.
Y'all remember
Oh,
Isaac?
yeah. Hall of Famer.
Well,
Yeah.
Isaac started out as your dog and then graduated to becoming the grandparents' dog.
Yep.
So we'd see a lot of Isaac in Ann Arbor.
Yep. He was a black lab, and he was a good dog.
It was a really good dog.
He
A damn fine dog. Probably the best grandparent dog.
Yeah.
Easily.
I think we had him until I was about maybe 4 or 5. And then, yeah, I remember the day of my mom driving Isaac back to Ann Arbor and her basically saying, Isaac lives here now, and me crying about it, probably. And
you don't remember the tears?
I remember being upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
And that's
my mom
why
was
I
just
don't
like,
have
"Nope, we're
animals
done."
anymore, because I know they just leave me.
Pretty much. No, but we had a great cat growing up in Park Ridge, the Chuckers.
Oh, wah, wah, wah.
You remember Chuckers? He was
Tuxedo
a badass.
cat.
He's a good hunter.
Yeah, he was a badass. He would have been great on the trail with Shadow and Chance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Chuckers. He was like kind of a cat about town, or like everyone in your neighborhood knew Chuckers. Like he'd stop by the neighborhood, it felt like.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no.
Great name, by the way. Did you name?
No, Drew. So this is kind of a debate between Drew and I. So when Drew was really young, he used to pretend that he was a cat and he would crawl around on the floor and be like, meow, meow, I'm I'm Chuckers.
He'd say he was Chuckers.
Yeah. and, and then so when we got a cat, I was like, we should name him Chuckers. But Drew, his story is that he just liked the name Chuckers because it sounded like checkers. And like he saw the checkerboard that was underneath the TV and that he called it and said,
Was
"Just
it a
name him
black and
Chuckers."
white checkerboard, perhaps?
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's possible.
You know, sometimes you don't need to know how the sausage is made. It's a great name. Genius doesn't need to come from,
Yeah.
a genius wellspring. It just works. Chuckers is great. And it just sounds like checkers. That's all it took.
We called him Chucky White Shoes.
Yeah, that story does remind me that with my first ever best friend as a young boy, James Fife, we would play dogs as like a game where we would pretend to be dogs and we would just like chase each other around on all fours. So very similar to Drew pretending to be a cat, we were pretending to be dogs.
Yeah.
Stands the test of time.
Which is interesting because I feel like I'd consider myself more of a cat man myself as an adult, even though I go both ways. I love dogs, I love cats, but I feel like I'm more connected to cats.
Well, that kind of segues. I wanted to have Anna Ray in on this because she's seen Milo and Otis, and I believe Homeward Bound, but she went through phases of binging these movies as she does when she gets fixated, and then it took a turn at some point where she I thought it was because there's a lot of sad scenes in both of those, but I think what happened, as I recall, is that she so identified with Otis. I think it was Otis and not Milo that she wanted to be she asked Alex can I be a puppy one day? and Alex was
Very serious question.
Yeah, she was asking in earnest, she was really had her hopes up, and Alex was like, no, you can have puppies, but we can only be people as far as we know in this lifetime. And he was so devastated. She was up, waking up in the middle of the night just crying about how she wishes she could be a puppy because, I don't know, I think she thought Otis was really adorable and just wanted to get as close to it as possible. She wanted to live it. So yeah, she's not in on this podcast because it's an open wound.
Yeah. Well, if she found out what actually happened to Otis on this film, I don't think that she would want to.
Otis number 4.
It's like, yeah. Do you think you can fight a bear?
Because me and Caleb watched both of these movies that we're going to talk about today last weekend as of this recording. I went over to Caleb's house, and it just so happens that your brother Drew was there. So he watched these movies with us.
Both? You guys did the double feature proper, back to back?
Oh, yeah, we did. We started off with Homeward Bound, and then we went down in the basement, and then we watched Milo and Otis in the basement. But yeah, both. It was we turned it on it was after Sailor Bean's bedtime, so he was sleeping, and Anna Ray chose to opt out of watching the movie because I guess these movies are too much of an open wound for her. So she was in the bedroom watching Onward, the Pixar movie, instead of watching these movies. So it's just the boys watching Homeward Bound. And
I didn't. Yeah, I was
imagining we'd be watching it with the kids because that sounded cute, but it didn't work out like that.
And I thought that we would do I don't know, back to back seemed a little of an endurance trial, but it was reverting to the similarities and disparities were a lot more apparent than they would have been. Obviously, they're both animal movies, but the little things that they did or didn't do or did slightly better, they're definitely great companion movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of similar moments for sure.
Before we get into that though, Caleb, you've got a few animals at your house. Don't you have 2 dogs and a cat?
Yeah, break down your pets.
Oh, okay. So we got Simon, who's like a big sort of tuxedo pit bull, and we got Gracie, who's kind of like a large fruit bat stuffed with whatever food she got off the table when you weren't looking.
Wait, it's a dog though, right?
Yeah, yeah, Gracie. I don't know what kind of. She's a mutt
You
of
don't
some
have a fruit
kind.
bat.
She looks like a fruit bat in the
Yeah.
size of a dog,
Yeah, yeah.
You would
but
say the same thing about Maggie, an old dog of ours.
yeah, yeah. And I could go on at length at the weird neurotic aspects of like, all the different personality profiles, but
You'd say Simon is more of a normal dog and Gracie's kind of the wild dog.
I mean, they're both weird in their own ways, but Simon's just kind of the confident head of household, and he does security, and he kind of maintains order as he sees it, even though he's probably the least intelligent of all the animals in the house. Gracie is so smart that like, you can tell she's like kind of grieving the existential quandary that she's in at every moment, and she'll stare at you. She'll sit in the corner room and just look at you, not blinking. She's not hungry. She doesn't need to go outside. She'll just look at you, just like hoping for an answer or something. And yeah, she's very anxious and can get set up, but she's also a good cuddler, and she's got silky ears, which is highly prized. I'm a big ear guy when it comes to animals of any kind.
Floppy, silky
Uh,
ears you were showing me and Drew when we were over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that totally redeems all of her lesser qualities. And then Oscar, he's kind of a Chuckers-ish, like just unflappable. Uh, he pretty much behaves like a dog, but he takes thrashings from the pit bull, and I think he has like a caved-in larynx, so he doesn't meow right because he's just always like starting shit. And then we just got
But
Polly.
you gotta say that Oscar he's an orange tabby like Milo.
He looks kind of like Milo. He's a little more heavier set and older.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Polly's the newest rascal, and that is attached on Ray at the hip, and she's sweetie pie too. But also, she's adopted Oscar's running out of the house policy, and she's so much faster now. It's like 2.0, just always running out the front door.
Mhm.
Nice.
It's not nice. She shouldn't be jumping. She shouldn't
We
run
just
out the
let her
door.
do it. There's no point. They want to be like you watch these movies, and you'll know they're gonna get escape because they want to have their adventure, and it's like, all right, well, don't get hit because
And they always come
Yeah.
back. Nothing bad ever happens to them, so it's okay.
Yeah.
They can
Not-
swim real good in rapids, and
yeah.
if they fall into a hole, they get out. It's all good.
Well, I'll say my cat Ganoush has never escaped. I've
Wow.
fully imprisoned her.
Doesn't know what she's
She's never
missing.
going outside.
Yeah. I did try to have a dog that you met, Zach. You remember Dash?
Oh yeah. What was that eye? He had cherry eye.
Yeah, yeah, Cherry Eye. And yeah, I don't know. I since I live alone and dogs need a lot of attention and I travel a lot, it just doesn't really work for me. And I'm allergic to cats, so I don't really keep cats in the house. I did like all through the time that we had Chuckers, I had allergies. I was always sneezing, my eyes were always itchy, and we just like, oh, he has allergies and take Claritin or whatever. And then I realized when I went to college, I'm like, I don't have allergies anymore. It's
Yeah.
because it was
All
because of
Chuckers.
Chuckers. Yeah.
That's such a common curse. Like,
Yeah.
people that would they don't. It's not that they dislike cats. They just fucking can't stand them.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even a bad allergy. It's just if I pet them or get some cat dander like by my eye, it just is irritating. I know some people get like asthma attacks. It's nothing like that, but annoying enough that I'm just like, I'm just gonna not do it. But the current animal in my life is Gigi, Ginger.
Yeah.
The one-eyed wonder.
The one-eyed dog, the one-eyed junkyard dog.
My mom and Steve's little Chihuahua Terrier or whatever you want to call her, and she's the best. Love her
Yeah, you'll dog sit for her sometimes.
all the time. Yeah. Well, I guess not all the time, but yes, I will. Once or twice a year.
Well, Kale, do you feel you're more a dog or a cat guy?
I
See,
mean,
these
your
movies are
time.
they're two big dog and cat movies.
I think uh, my gut reaction is a cat guy,
Mm.
Wow.
and I feel like that extends into like just felines, kind of going all the way up to big cats, little cats. You know, I've always been huge into tigers, and
Mhm.
yeah, there's something about. I mean, you gotta love a cat. But some of our best pets were cats. But you give me a good dog.
Got to
I
mention
fucking love.
Schmeb
Yeah, yeah, Schmeb. So I mean,
or the
You guys got to break down these animals. There's just a lot of
it would take all
random
day.
nonsense names.
well, Schmeb and Erda are the same cat. You can also
Oh.
call him Maître Blonde.
What was this? This was like your cat, or this was a farm
Yeah, it's
cat?
like it's
For
like
donk.
yeah, it's like our parents' orange cat, very similar to Milo.
Hmm.
He had an infinite amount of names that you cycled through. They just had certain kind of prefix, suffix, loose rules, and whatever was the funniest would be his name for a while, but had a indifferent intent with everything there's I don't know, there's something about like, cats, and especially ones that, man, they could just give a shit about, like, there's certain characters in movies that they're not very nice and they don't really like anyone, but everyone likes them because they're just, I don't know, kind of grumpy or something.
Yeah,
Confident and grumpy. It's a
yeah,
good combo.
yeah. They play hard to get.
Which I feel like Sally Fields kind of captures in Sassy
She
in Homeward
does
Bound. I feel like she does kind of embody a certain cat attitude pretty well.
very.
Yeah, she does a
Yeah.
great job.
I will say we made a Facebook page for her, duh. Just that's how much we cared about her, duh. We even made a Facebook
You can
page
like
for
him
her.
on Facebook.
Yeah, you can find her duh on Facebook. That's
Put it in the
big of
comments
how big of a deal he was.
if you want to follow her. Check out the comments.
Yeah.
But you guys have had a lot of cats and dogs on
Oh
your
my God.
house growing up.
Chickens and horses too.
But yes, and I feel like
Chinchillas.
because you guys are big animal
Hamsters,
people,
lizards.
you guys had all kinds of animals. But since this is kind of a dog and cat episode, how many dogs and cats did you guys grow up with on the farm?
It was usually, we'd have two dogs at a time, one older, and then the one was the youngling, and then we'd
Two
have up to
indoor
like
cats
two outdoor cats, sometimes three outdoor cats.
or barn cats, you might call them.
Just some nice shout outs without getting into it. Scooby, classic barn cat. Abby, great barn cat. Elsa was probably the most legendary of our dogs, a Bernese mountain dog.
Yeah.
Lucy, Maggie,
Corgi, yeah.
Lucy and Maggie, they were great.
Oscar, more recently a great dog
Or
that passed
Raja.
away too soon. Yes.
And now you have the bow-legged, gorilla-headed,
Scoop nosed.
scoop nose, hot dog tail,
Crooked toenail.
pig swimming.
Pig swimming. Yeah, that's Ruben though.
Reuben. He's a good
Ruben's the current Munith dog.
big ball of muscle.
And this is, for whatever reason, this is the first film with family where I felt like I needed to go out and get a beverage, an alcoholic beverage to to get in the zone. It's like the most
Fair enough.
wholesome movies. I didn't do it for Drunken Master or Robin Hood, but I'm
Yeah.
like Homeward Bound and Milo and Otis. I got to get me a 40 ounce of Corona.
Shit,
Yeah,
man.
Drunken
Well,
Master, Drunken Master,
Drunken
definitely.
Master. Are you drunk right now, Zach? The Drunken Mouster? I love it.
I did smoke weed earlier.
I feel like for the
rodent men on the
YouTube,
brain.
I feel like for the YouTube, there should be a timestamp of like when we actually get to the movies, where people are like, okay, family
we-
talk.
We used to do that. We used to do timestamps, and we got lazy.
We got our first negative comment on YouTube for our Holy Grail episode, which was
Oh
again,
wow.
I'm just gonna read it verbatim. Bomber County Blues wrote, "Not familiar with you lads at all, but I am a bit of a Python fan, which is probably why YouTube put you in my feed. So I thought I'd give it a listen. 15 minutes in, and so far you've spoken about nothing but yourselves. Sorry, but I'm out."
We lost them.
And I actually checked. We start talking about Monty Python at 12 minutes in. So if you actually listen to 15 minutes, like we actually were talking about Monty Python at that point. So I don't know what his problem was.
And I said, all I can say is your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
You
Got
can
him.
just scoot ahead until you hear something you want.
All right,
Yeah.
maybe we should talk about Homeward Bound.
All right, let's talk about Homeward. Well, I really want to talk. I want to talk about Milo and Otis first because that
Well,
one's
it came out earlier, too.
yeah. So let's go chronologically and also talk about your guys' connection to this because I associate this movie with you guys with watching that VHS in the living room of the farm. And what's your
Okay,
guys'
so you
connection to it?
remember Milo and Otis from us?
Yes, absolutely. It was just
Because-
like,
You must have just watched movies whenever we hung out. There's so many movies that
There
it's
was-
like, you were the one that showed us. I'm like, I don't remember that shit.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, these are there was like the three movies you guys had was Robin Hood, Milo and Otis, and the Twib best of like Twib This Week in
This
Baseball.
Week in Baseball.
I think we had Homeward Bound on VHS
Yeah, we
as
had
well.
Yeah,
We
I
had-
think we
had
watched
both of these on
Yeah.
VHS.
That's why I thought of these two movies specifically and why to bring on Caleb
Yeah.
because I was like, I remember watching these two movies at your house when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'll say for myself that I love The Adventures of Milo and Otis a lot. It's a very deep spiritual connection with me in this film, a lot more so than Homeward Bound, even though Homeward Bound was definitely in the rotation and I like that movie. But my heart and soul was connected to Milo and Otis, so much so that I bought the DVD of it. I feel like freshman year of college. But yeah, I got the DVD here. This is the DVD me and Caleb and Drew watched last weekend.
Get any
Yes.
special features on that bad boy?
Well, yeah, not really. It's got a theatrical trailer and it's got a talent and filmography section. Pretty much just about Dudley Moore. So very skimp. But it does have this booklet, and this booklet has like some nice writing that I kind of actually want to read from because it gives it some nice context for this movie.
Great.
But I don't have to do it right away. I just want to say that yes, I love this movie. I can't remember when I first saw it, but feel like it was always around as I was a boy. And yeah, I feel like I remember showing this movie to like one of the first girls I ever dated in freshman year of college. And I think we broke up shortly afterwards.
Damn, I thought that was going to seal the deal.
I feel like that was the downward slope for that
She's
relationship.
like, you like this like cat and dog snuff film? What the hell's
Yeah.
wrong with you?
Well, I want to hear from Caleb too, like how you feel about Milo and Otis. I don't know. I feel like maybe you didn't watch it as much as I did, or maybe you did.
I probably watched it more than you because I was alive longer watching it. I mean,
Yeah, this
I
movie
think
came out in 1989.
that's the year I was born,
Oh wow.
and it was yeah. It's just, I mean, with a lot of these movies, it was just like mom would put them in front of us, be like, "This is appropriate for you guys," and why aren't we gonna like it? We're living on a farm anyways, and it's just a bunch of cute stuff, great soundtrack, really funny narration. It is the perfect combo for the age that we were, and it is aged very well. I mean, as an adult, like it's compelling. If you are an animal person, then it's interesting to watch them react to different scenarios and under like a scripted narrative. And the one thing about these movies that I think Homeward Bound also has, more than a touch of is you can train animals to behave as though they're acting, but there's certain things that are just real reactions you can't teach an animal to do. But you put a pug in front of a bear in a river, you're going to get a real drowning performance. And the look of terror in their eye is not going to be because they need an Oscar. It's because that dog thinks it's in peril.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that hasn't aged so well about these movies is the fact that it's very visible that they're putting animals in very dangerous and perilous situations.
The blatant disregard.
Well, should we get into the dark side of Milo and Otis so quickly because
we did it with Jackie.
I want to read from my booklet before we do that. But
okay, so
I want to say just big aspect of why I love this movie is that it's all animals. There's not a single fucking person in the whole movie.
yeah,
And that was huge for me as a kid. It's huge for me now. It's just, I mean, obviously you're getting a lot of the Dudley Moore narration is providing you a lot of projection of kind of human personalities and stuff. But just the fact that you don't see any people in this entire film, I think is a huge achievement. And and that's why I really love this movie.
Mhm.
It's weird that I've never even noticed that. It's so obvious.
But
why it's so
on
good.
our most recent watching, you found a human hand, which I've never
Yeah.
noticed before. Caleb caught it in the
I
corner
never
of the
noticed it
screen.
either. Yeah,
Where is
there's
it?
It's when it's the bear scene
Yeah, it's when Otis is in the river, I think, and
and he's
kind
trying to
of
fight off the bear, and like there's like sort of they're trying to follow the action, and if you look in the upper left corner of the screen, you'll see some ripples, and then just for like a few frames, you can see, the outline of a worried, probably Japanese handler that's like, when do I need to intervene on this situation?
yeah. So
Oh,
there's the
man.
one instance of seeing an actual human, but it's a
Unintentional.
blub, unintentional. So yeah, this is written by Masanori Hata, who's the director of this film. The interesting thing I just found out researching for this podcast is that this film was originally released in 1986 under the name The Adventures of Chatran. And Chatran is Milo.
Mhm.
So it's more cat focused, and there's a completely alternate cut of this film that I watched last night that we'll get into.
Maybe there's a Japanese board game that rhymes with Chatran, and that's why they call it Chuckers
There is?
reference.
Oh, got it. Good one. That's good.
I got it.
Good one. So yeah, this is the director of that film and also Milo and Otis. All right, so this is from the director. I wanted to make an animal film that would delight and warm the hearts of all who saw it. Not a documentary, however, but a kind of fairy tale, the only characters of which would be animals and the setting of which would be timeless and placeless. As in the world of fantasy and dreams from which all great fairy tales are born, Within this framework, I also wanted the film to be a celebration of life. While I would require the animals to perform certain roles, I nevertheless wanted them to be themselves and, through their spontaneous, natural performances, to communicate the wonder and beauty of life. This is the reason why it took me so long to embark on the project. It was only after immersing myself for 10 years in the lives of the various animals in my care that I finally felt a little confident about my knowledge of their behavior and my ability to read their thoughts and moods, to communicate with them at their level. Even then, filming was by no means easy, but I think that the results speak for the correctness of the approach I took, allowed to be themselves within the bounds of the scenario. The animals produce performances that are genuine and radiant with life. You can see it in the sparkle of their eyes and the vitality of their movements and expressions. End quote. A film in which the cast consists entirely of animals, this was the dream that director Masanori Hata, a trained zoologist and noted author, nurtured over the years. Hata came one big step closer to realizing this dream when a small film crew settled into his property in Hokkaido, Japan's northernmost island, where Hata had a private menagerie of almost 300 animals. Over the next few years, Hata filmed the exploits of his animal stars, shooting more than 400,000 feet of film before he was satisfied that he had the makings of a film.
Holy
Because
shit.
because puppies and kittens don't remain puppies and kittens for long, no matter what the filmmaker's schedule is, there were actually many Milo and Otises during the course of the production. To get exactly the same size and coloring for the various Milos, for example, around 300 kittens were auditioned, and the filmmakers even bred some felines. In the end, about 30 cats were used for Milo. Serving as the film's associate director was Kan Ichikawa, who broke new ground in the field of documentary cinema with his film The Tokyo Olympics. Known as the Wizard of the Cutting Room, Ichikawa offered his organizational and editing services after viewing a rough edit of the material filmed by Hata. The Adventures of Chatran, which took 4 years to complete, was released in Japan in 1986. Wildly successful, it was acquired by Columbia Pictures, who trimmed the running time from 90 minutes to 76 and added a sassy narration written by Emmy Award winner Mark Saltzman, TV's Sesame Street, and delightfully performed by Dudley Moore. Retitled The Adventures of Milo and Otis, Masanori Hata's masterwork opened in the United States on August 25, 1989. A heartwarming, tail-thumping story about a curious kitten and his pug-nosed puppy pal. It's totally awesome. The Washington Post. And that's what
great.
I have. But yeah, on the Wikipedia page, it says like 400,000 feet of film, like they said, equals about 74 hours of footage.
Wow.
74 hours.
Of cats being mauled to death by bears.
I want to see the B-roll of them hucking him off the cliff because that was the
Yeah, that's
getting
that's
a running start.
that's the toughest scene for me, more so than the bear stuff, which there are a lot of bear scenes, but just the cut of the cat flying off the cliff into the water. And like it's clearly that like somebody threw them off the cliff because it's like that's edited in a way that it's just he's mid fall. You don't see him fall off the cliff. So obviously somebody threw him off and they edited around it. So he's just like already falling like off a
Yeah.
rocky cliff into like harsh waters. Yeah, that's really tough.
And right before that, he's being like pecked by seagulls. It does look like these animals are being injured. I mean, you've seen both cuts, Zach, and the scene where the bear is attacking the pug on land is a lot longer in the Japanese version, right? And you can kind of see that this bear
Yeah.
is like eating this pug
Getting some meat.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah, there is some more bear pug fight footage, but I feel like there's nothing like that looks anything worse really. It's just like more of it.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it is definitely looks like this cub of a bear, this young bear is really roughhousing with the pug, which is much smaller in size. So yeah, it's definitely dangerous.
Yeah.
And yeah,
But
I feel conflicted about loving this movie for sure. But that's why I docked it a half a star on Letterbox. I only gave it 4.5 because I minus a half a star for all the animals that died making this. On the Wikipedia, it has animal welfare allegations, and the film was reported to have the approval of the American Humane Society. The American Humane Association attempted to investigate cruelty rumors through contacts in Europe who are normally have information on movies throughout the world. Uh, they were unable to verify them. We
yeah.
have tried through humane people in Japan and through another Japanese producer to determine if these rumors are true, but everything has led to a dead end.
Mm.
So,
They buried all the pugs.
I mean, just watch it. It looks really bad.
I mean,
But so does Homeward Bound, and they say that nothing untoward happened to the animals there. So
I mean, Sassy is like going down like a rapid river. She's not even in a box. She's just like out there as a cat. At least Milo's in a box.
yeah, that stuff is really hard to watch.
I mean, they said they had an animal supervisor, and like in the credits of the film, it says the animals used were filmed under strict supervision with the utmost concern for their handling. But it
Mhm.
doesn't say no animals were harmed.
they were doing the best they could.
Obviously,
like-
some were harmed, but they were supervising.
So Caleb, you haven't watched the Japanese version, right?
No, I didn't even know it was a thing until last week.
Okay, so
Yeah, me too. But I watched it last night. Some cute new peaceful scenes in Adventures of Chatran, including Milo riding a horse with a little saddle and bags, and like he meets a horse and he rides the horse. Really
yeah.
cute. They could have substituted that for him
Does the horse have a
getting pecked by
voice?
seagulls.
um,
No, that's the thing about Adventures of Chatran is the narration is very, very sparse, and the narrator is not animated at all. He's very monotone, and he like is mostly just stating facts. I mean, sometimes he'll like say like little lines of dialogue as like the character, but he won't do a voice for it. Um, it's more of an art film, really. And the beginning of the film, very reminiscent of like Twin Peaks, and it's got these foggy forest shots, and it's got
mhm.
this Twin Peaksy kind of score that's very synth heavy. It has a lot of these poetry section that's read by a woman, and they're just like these really weird cryptic poems.
It's a horror film.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely does. Yeah, some parts feel a little horrific, but it's mostly feels really artsy and weird. And it's 15 minutes longer about, but it actually cuts a lot of great scenes from Milo and Otis. Like it only has like a couple new scenes, and one of them is another really bad scene of they go to like a cow farm, and it's like
Getting trampled.
it looks like Otis is getting trampled by a cow that's like attacking him. It's really
Oh my
bad.
god.
Yeah.
So that's a bad scene.
So yeah, these poems that are strewn about the adventures of Chatran. Here's one of them. Stars are the children of the sky. Mushrooms are of the earth. A dewdrop is of water. A nursery is of the forest. It's a lot of stuff like this, like throughout the whole movie.
Translation's probably not great.
Every child has his own story. A little squirrel's eyes observe. A kitten's tongue dares to lick. A puppy's paws scratch at random. A bear's muzzle is busy shifting.
And we are not liable for the desecration of God's creatures.
I mean, you got to imagine this guy had 300 animals. He had to be like, yeah, we got plenty of these.
Like I feel like we're not doing enough celebrating this movie for what we do get. I mean, you guys are so concerned about how they made it for some reason.
Let's go back to the
Let's talk about the movie itself, okay?
let's go back to the world where we didn't know about Chatran and Wikipedia wasn't around.
Here,
Yeah.
I watch it. Can you play at 210 from the Adventures of Chatran? I just want Caleb to hear this music, this main theme song that plays throughout the film.
Yeah.
And because it reminds me of so many different things. It's very kind of nostalgic in different ways. So I don't know.
Very Twin Peaksy.
Very mysterious.
Super Twin Peaksy.
I love it. It's so relaxing.
I mean, the score for Milo and Otis is really good too, but it's totally different than this.
Yeah.
It is reminiscent of like a Miyazaki, like Hisashi score a little bit. And I was also getting a little bit of Dire Docks from Super Mario 64.
Dude, that slaps. I love this. All right, and then let's compare that to the song that starts the English version.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is so nostalgic. Such a good tune.
We're going to take a walk outside today. Gonna see what we can find today. We're going to take a walk outside today. Gonna see what we can
See what we can find today.
On a pretty little farm, the sun comes up on a curious cat and a pug-nosed pup. A brand new life outside the door. Follow your nose and go explore. 'Cause we're gonna take a walk outside today. Gonna see what we can find today. We're gonna take a walk outside.
I love how they
today.
use the same
Gonna
like
see what we
foggy,
can find
eerie
today.
shots of a
Yeah.
forest for
Big
this.
world that's all set up for a curious cat and a pug-nosed pup. Friends to meet, places to be. It's all so new and fun to see.
And fun to see.
And we're going to take a walk outside
Today.
today. Gonna see what we can find today. We're going to take a walk outside
All right.
today.
Yeah, that's Walk Outside by Dan Crow. Thanks, Dan Crow. And there's a crow in the film.
Yes, there is.
No relation.
Hey, there's one. While we're thinking about music, I want to show one more song from Adventures of Chatran
Sure.
because I liked it. I thought it was a good song. I think it's
Because
at,
I liked it.
I think it's at 16 minutes.
Here we go. Holy shit, this is a banger.
Just wait.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, this rules.
It's the heavy breathing. The pug.
Falls in a hole.
The optimism of friendship. Orchestrated. The determination. Hard cut.
All right.
All right, you can pause it. That was the song I wanted to shout out.
It seems like a lot more mysterious and Chatran. They're trying to make
yeah.
you feel more complex than Milo and Otis.
And by the way, Otis is named Pooski.
That's a marked improvement. I don't know about Chatran, but Pooski is a fucking winner.
You think Pooski's better than Otis?
I mean, in terms of being funny, Pooski's got a lot more comedic value.
Did you guys know that there was a video game adaptation of this as well?
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I was
Game Boy?
watching. I was watching YouTube footage of Adventures of Chatran for Famicom, which is like the Japanese NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, and it just looks like a Super Mario Brothers ripoff. where you play as Chatran, aka Milo.
Mhm.
Actually has a really cute sprite. He's got real big eyes. And I guess one of his main moves is that he can drop eggs on guys. And there's like bears in the game, and how you defeat bears is you drop eggs on top of them and that like buries them underground.
What happens if you don't drop eggs on them? Do they maul you to death?
Yeah, I think so. And there's like a way you can summon Otis as like a power up. They look
Nice.
kind of good.
That won't help you with the snakes, but
But yeah, to get a sense of how much they cut out of Chatran, even though it's a longer cut of the film, that's just so much slower paced of a film that they cut a lot of great scenes out of Milo and Otis that I actually made a list of that I'll share with you now. They got rid of all the chicken and the egg stuff on the farm, which is
damn.
that's one of my favorite bits of the whole movie is like Otis taking on like a father role of this like baby chick.
Mhm.
And I feel like me and my mom specifically would quote that like, "Mommy, mommy, chicken, mommy."
Wait,
Like,
so these are scenes that they cut out of the Japanese version that the English version then put back in?
yeah, even though it's a shorter edit of the film in the English version, like it's just better paced film that they like fit in way more stuff of the 74 hours that they shot.
Yeah, they had to
Um,
get rid of all those poem scenes.
yeah, they add in like 5 poems, and yeah, those take a long time. But I just want to go through my list here. They cut out crayfish and Milo, him interacting with the crayfish. They cut out Otis riding a sea turtle, which
You
is
kidding
pretty,
me?
That's my favorite part.
That's iconic.
and that scene has incredible music as well. Otis crying at sunset, which Caleb, you quoted as saying that's the scene that Honore really responded negatively to.
I think that was a trigger for sure.
It's just like a shot of him whimpering in the sunlight by himself.
Yeah, it's complete isolation and giving up hope that he can save his friend.
They cut out Milo confronting the bear in the tree branches after the raccoon encounter
Mhm.
when they're both on the tree branch together. And they completely cut out Otis getting a girlfriend, their whole romance, them being in the
So yeah,
cave, her birth scene, and Otis trying to find food for his kids and getting the fish from Milo and Milo's girlfriend. So they cut
Mhm.
out that huge chunk of the end part of the movie.
I was wondering about that. So they didn't go back and reshoot some stuff with a different like pug. They just had so much footage that was unused that they doctored
Yeah,
it back into the film.
yeah. And it's interesting that they shot all this stuff with Otis and then they like got in the editing bay and it's like, we don't need this. It's all about Chatran. Even though Otis fucking rules and he's a cute ass pup, and like
Yeah.
it works so much better if they kind of have equal billing, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of Milo's stuff is just him like being in trees, and like there's a
it,
lot more there's a lot more tree scenes, and it's like it's kind of a repeated beat.
it's a
So
buddy
yeah.
flick. You need equal representation.
Yeah. And I love the evolution of their friendship. It's kind of a nice mirror of like adult life of I mean, I don't have this with my own friends, but like the idea of like your friend like getting a wife and like having starting a family and leaving you behind. Like that's
Hmm.
like relatable like being in your 30s shit and it's like in this kid's movie.
Yeah.
And it's like you capture like this full like life cycle of like a friendship in like the span of 1 year. Like you see all the seasons change and they both get families by the end of it.
Hmm.
And I think it's a really interesting kind of like microcosm of friendship.
Yeah. And it looks like Otis's girlfriend actually does give birth
Oh
in
yeah.
in the movie.
Well, the cat looks like she actually gives birth too. I
Yeah.
remember we watched this with Drew and Drew was like, "Oh my God." He was like
It's very graphic.
so disturbed by the birth scenes.
Yeah, what was Drew's response in general to watching both these movies?
He liked him. He said he never has seen either of them. He said it was first watches for both of them, but when we watched it, he was positive.
I mean, it's ironic that he was so appalled by the birthing scenes, but he's great with kids. He'd be a great dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was having a great time playing with Sailor and Honore that day. Well, we both were.
Yeah. Drew's great with kids.
Good with animals too.
True. But Zach, I want to dig a little bit deeper because you said that this movie is like important to your soul. Like, what is it about this movie that like warms your soul? Why is it so important to you?
Well, I guess it's just like I just love animals and I don't know, just this was the movie that made me really kind of really tap into that mindset of loving animals, and it really fascinated me as a child more than any other film. So it's just an incredibly nostalgic film. Uh, and so yeah, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, you know.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
that's why I could like sociopathically kind of not think about all the suffering that happened making the film, just because I still really love the movie. And revisiting it, I was really impressed by the cinematography of it. Like some of the shots you get in Milo and Otis are so cinematic and just gorgeously composed, and there's like moving shots, and I don't know, it's definitely feels more artfully shot than Homeward Bound, which Homeward
Hmm.
Bound just like feels just more like a standard kind of Disney movie kind of being shot, but there's like some really artful, really beautiful shots in Milo and Otis that I really respond to, and really.
Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure Caleb just fully walked out of the room while you were talking, and I'm pretty sure we can hear him pissing in the background.
To keep this audio. He's got his headset on.
Nature calls.
He's-
So
what are you,
Caleb,
an animal?
So Caleb, you can hear everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb has a headset on, so he's mobile and
got a-
potting apparently.
He's got a hot mic in the bathroom.
But yeah, like all the stuff like in the autumn section of the film, which is a pretty short section of the film, like all those shots are really gorgeous. All the fall foliage, and like this part is with Milo and his new girlfriend, the white cat, Joyce.
Yeah.
Joyce is a white cat, and Sandra, the French pug, is Otis's wife.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the shots of Milo and Joyce just like taking in the fall scenery, and Otis being a third wheel, like that shit's so good. And I love all the night stuff, like Milo with the owl, and like there's even like a dream sequence with the owl, which is very Lynchian.
Mm-hmm.
We get a
Yeah.
dream sequence from Milo's perspective. That's awesome. And yeah, also the scene of Milo with the baby deer in the fields of dandelions.
Yeah.
It's like really gorgeous, and like then you get the shot of them cuddling with each other. It's just super cute.
Mm-hmm.
Milo gets to cuddle up with a lot of different cute animals like piglets and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, just imagery like that is just burned into my brain from this movie because I watched it so many fucking times.
Yeah. It's got a great diversity of animals.
Yeah, much more diverse than Homeward Bound, I would say.
Yeah. Caleb, what's your emotional connection to this movie? Do you still feel connected like your brother does, or are you more neutral on it? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the music and the Dudley Moore's narration, especially. I think so much of the personality, probably really obvious if I had actually watched the Chatran, but like the like it's crazy how many different identities he just kind of goes in and out of, with all the different animals have these equally sort of fleshed out. Like they almost have, like you could just imagine them going on living whole lives with that voice and those kinds of like predilections or mannerisms. And
Yeah.
it kind of reminds, I think one of the reasons why it resonates so much is that, you know, how we grew up where there was animals everywhere. We were constantly narrating what they were doing at any given moment just for amusement and just because, like,
Yeah, I
you
feel
know,
like that's
like
something that mom really imparted onto us, like kind of projecting onto animals, like what they're thinking and stuff. But
yeah,
also this movie.
yeah, and either trying to exaggerate it for a comedic effect or just sometimes it's just that, like, you can read, like, you know, they're being very obvious what their intentions are, and it's just funny. But I don't know, like I think it can't be overstated how good of a job Dudley Moore does. Really funny. I would imagine, given the fact that this is a localized movie, that he probably did a lot of improving. I don't know if there's any way to ascertain that, but it seems like he has a lot of comedic intuition and just makes some choices that were probably just like, I don't know, I gotta spice this up, and a lot of the stuff that he does just works extremely well.
Yeah, they say this guy Mark Saltzman, who wrote a lot for Sesame Street, wrote like a lot of like the Dudley Moore script. Yeah, it's unclear how much was improv, but yeah, you're right. Dudley Moore knocks it out of the park. Especially got to shout out his portrayal of the Fox character.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. We gotta play that entire song. That's required.
All right, I
the whole
like
Fox song.
Yeah, play it. Roll it.
It's the best part of both of the movies is just that Fox sort of a cappella number.
Otis resumed his search for Milo.
So good.
He saw in the distance an animal that he thought might be helpful.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, much better.
It's great. It's like a little circus song.
He elevates it. It's just like that footage without that is just not really. It's just a swimming fox, and then it just takes it to being the best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
And then I like him. Like, you call that a tail? This is a tail. Oh, that's good.
I really liked his frog. It's like Otis, 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 Otis.
Fred's dead.
Yeah, really great stuff. Yeah, what was your reaction, Austin?
Yeah, I'll say I like it. I would say I feel like for the time it did absolutely capture something that was pretty rare. Even though I watched the original Homeward Bound, which was called The Incredible Journey, which
from like the 60s or
it came out in 1963, and it's very similar in the way that, you know, it's not speaking for the animals. Even though Dudley Moore does do like some like, oh, and then Milo said this, and then like they kind of do the same thing. They're not like in Homeward Bound where each character has lines of dialogue that they're actually like communicating diegetically, you know.
you're saying it's narrated by one guy?
Yeah.
Incredible Journey voice actors.
Yeah, Incredible Journey is much like Dudley Moore is narrating it. This guy Rex Allen is narrating it, who's like an old Western guy, and he's got a great like wholesome voice and doing like, you know, And the cool thing about Incredible Journey, and I know I'm like swerving on my review of Milo and Otis, but
Well, we
it
haven't
was
spent a lot of time on Milo and Otis, so it's probably good
yeah.
to transition.
I'll just say that I'll just to wrap up my thoughts on Milo and Otis. I think it's good. It was very harrowing to watch. I thought that like before I even looked up that these animals were injured or allegedly injured, I was like, man, that looks really bad. That looks like these animals are being hurt. And but besides that, I thought it was a little too childish. It kind of read to me like these Animal Planet uh movies about puppies and kittens, where it's just like cats and dogs like in a room and they're just kind of being anthropomorphized and it's just kind of cutesy music in the background. Whereas like
Oh,
the original seems like a lot more artistic. I think like the knowing that it was originally a Japanese film with like this incredible synth score definitely kind of saves it for me because you can just tell how Americanized Milo and Otis is. Um, but I think it's cute. But for my money, I'm a Homeward Bound guy.